my little yarnivores and spiderettes and crafters of all sorts. Gonna try something a little bit different today. These blankets are really popular, they're really simple, and they're a lot of fun. These are no-sew fleece blankets. These are a lot of fun to make. This one, I couldn't help myself. I loved the little pea pod pattern. Love it. So, so adorable. And these are actually surprisingly quick and easy to make. Now, they do have pre-made kits, if you will, where it's 2 pieces of the fleece already cut to size. All you have to do is just cut the fringe and you're good. However, it's not always, I find, the best route because, well, what if you want a different size? Or what if you want a different pattern? You know, those kits are great, but they're preordained. You know, it's more fun to do it yourself, I think. So I'm going to show you how to do it. Now, I know that there are a lot of tutorials and a lot of things on Pinterest on how to do this, but I wanted to show you because I had so much fun doing it myself, and I wanted to show you too. That's how I do it. So this one is a cute little baby blanket, and on this side we got the little pea pods, and on the other side we have cute little polka dots. You can coordinate however you want. That's the beauty of doing it by hand, you know, as opposed to getting a kit. I did get a kit once. I thought it was okay. I wasn't crazy about the size though. This was done using 1 yard of fleece per side. So you need a total of 2 yards for a small child baby blanket, if you will. And so this worked out really well. Then I decided I'm gonna up my game. And I didn't show this in the intro, but I then did this monstrosity, which I am in love with. This one I'm keeping for myself. And this one, my goodness, this one is 2 yards per side. And I used the same fabric on both sides. I didn't want to go, you know, one on one side, one on the other. But this is 2 yards per side. So you need a total of 4 yards if you want to do an adult-sized blanket. And this, for me, is totally substantial. And it is so cozy and warm and fuzzy, and I love it. And it is, like I said, it's really easy to do. There's a lot of cutting involved. If you have a large surface, like a nice table, obviously protect it. It's a lot easier to do. Me, I have to work on the floor, so it's a little hard on the knees, but we are troopers, aren't we? Also, if you want to do more of a small child size, I would say 1.5 yards per side for like a toddler small child size blanket. And that's, like I said, that's 1.5 yards each side. You know, you want doubles, you know, because that way you can get this really cool knotted edge fringe. And also today I'm going to show you a different way of doing it. There are a number of different ways of doing the knotting, or some people even do what looks like a braided look, which is pretty cool. I haven't tried that yet myself, but as far as the knotting, there are several different ways of going about it. Now, you obviously are going to need some fleece. You can get it pretty inexpensively at Walmart. I don't think they have that, you know, I don't think that they have it at Michael's, unfortunately. But Joann's, I went a little crazy because they're doing some big fleece extravaganza sale. So I went a little nuts and I got some fleece. I'm currently sitting on some right now that I got from Walmart, which is adorable. It is so adorable. I'm going to show you right now. So we've got little sheep, cute little sheep, and then we have little polka dots to correspond. Sorry for the weird camera work. I make do. And so I already have it laid out. I haven't done any pre-cutting yet, but we're going to get to that. Also, what you are going to need, if you want to save your tables, a self healing cutting mat. These are great. They are a little bit pricey, but if you're going to be doing any sort of sewing or quilting or this kind of project, the self-healing mats are really a godsend because it's all measured out on all four sides. So it's a lot easier to do your measuring and your cutting and so on and so forth. Granted, this is nowhere near as big as the blanket's going to be, but they really, really do help also to protect your surfaces. Now, that being said, you also will need some other things, which I'm going to get right over here. Okay, now, also, you are going to need a rotary cutting blade. It's not essential, but it really does help for a nice clean edge, which that's what we want, right? Keep in mind that when you're doing this project, it's not an exact science. You're not having to concern yourself with seam allowance and that sort of thing. You don't have to worry about that, really. However, this really, really does help. This is a rotary cutter blade. It's like a pizza cutter, for those of you that are not familiar with it. And basically, you just push this little button, and the blade is out. Now, you want to be very careful with these, okay? These are much sharper than pizza cutters, okay? But these really do help as far as a nice clean edge, and it's a lot easier than using scissors, let me tell you. And then when you're not using it, nice and safe now. These I totally recommend. These are Fisker's brand, hashtag not sponsored as per usual, but these are really, really great. Also, you are going to want a pair of scissors. Now, you don't want to use your scissors that are in the junk drawer that everybody else uses for cutting open box tops and, plastic things. No, you want a pair of scissors specifically devoted to fabric. They will last a lot longer. Also, I would suggest perhaps marking them fabric only, or putting a little scrap of fabric around the handles so that people know these are not to be used for anything other than fabric. It's very, very important. My mom is a quilter, and she'll be the first one to tell you, you touch her scissors, you die. These are my own. Also, since she's a quilter, yes, I have a bit of an unfair advantage. I got the healing mat, and also these other things are really helpful. You are going to need a ruler or a straight edge. However, this is extremely helpful because it is nice, sturdy plastic, and it's see-through, and it has measurements all along it. And this is by Omni-Angle. So this also is really helpful as far as your cutting because it's a straight edge, it's a ruler, it's see-through. Very, very helpful if you can get these. This is also very helpful. And the pièce de résistance, there's always one of those, right? Is this little guy. It is called a shape cut. Now, this is really helpful for cutting your fringe because I don't know if you can see very well, but this is actually, it's cut. These lines going this way are slits, and you can get your rotary blade starting at this opening here, and you can just cut your slits. And this is actually, it goes by 1/2 inch marks, if I'm not mistaken. And so this is really, 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 really easy to work with, and it'll make your job a lot easier as far as cutting your fringe. Believe you me, I made 2 of these blankets already, and this really, really, really helps. If you can't get one of these, I totally understand, but, if you can afford it, I would totally recommend it because it will save you a lot of time and grief, which is what I try to do. So save up your coupons, and you can get these things, using, your 40 or, 50% off coupon. Would really recommend using one of those for these items. They're not cheap, but if you're going to be doing a lot of these projects, I would recommend them, definitely. Okay? So, without further ado, let's get started. Alrighty, so I have laid out my fabric, as you can see. Now, you want to be aware that when you are about to do your cutting, you want to line up your fabric as close to each other as possible. Now, when they cut the fabric at the store, no, it's not exact. And also, you always have this icky selvage edge. And I'm going to show you a close-up. So basically, you have this sort of icky raw edge going on. And then here, you can see it even more so. You have all these little holes and things. You want to trim this off. It's, it's icky. And also, they have a tendency of using scissors when cutting the fabric in the store, which also is kind of annoying, but we do what we can. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to line up your fabric. Also, be sure that, see, you can see a slight difference. It's darker on this side and a little bit lighter on this side. This is the wrong side, if you will. And this one here is also the wrong side. See, it's a little bit darker on this side as opposed to this side. You want the wrong sides facing in, okay? Then, after you have lined them up as best you can, then trim all the way around so that you have nice clean edges and that both pieces are the same size, roughly speaking. Now also be aware that fleece does have a tendency to stretch a bit. That is the nature of the beast. So without stretching your fabric, lay one on top of the other, trim all the way around, and then we can get into the next bit. Alrighty. Okay, so I trimmed all around the entire circumference area of my two pieces, so they are the same size very nicely. Again, you don't have to stress too terribly much about is it exact, because since the entire thing is going to be fringed around the entire, and all four sides is going to be fringed, it's not crucial. Okay, do not stress if it doesn't line up perfectly. Okay, so don't worry about that. Now, right now you have some options. Okay, with the pea pod blanket that I did, initially I cut out a 4-inch square out of every corner, which is what you need to start with, and then you need to do your fringing. Now, personally, if you're going to be doing the tying a knot method, I would suggest doing a 5-inch square, cutting that out, and then doing your fringe based on that if you're going to be tying them, because the larger blanket that I did 5 inches, and it worked so much easier as far as the tying was concerned. If, however, you are going to do the method that I'm going to show you right now, which is a bit of a cleaner knot. It almost looks like a tassel knot. That one, I would say, go with the 4 inches, no problem. Okay, so I've got my little cutter here, and I'm not being very careful with it. But going to need your blade and your straight edge. You can create a 4x4 or a 5x5 template, little cardboard square, no problem. I'm just so thankful I have this. It's so helpful. I'm going to show you what I mean. All right, so I'm going to cut a 4x4 square right now. And so just going to line this up. And it's great because you can see through your straight edge, which is really, really convenient. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up, 1 over. Always count twice, measure twice and cut once, because you can't uncut once you cut, all right? I can't stress that enough. I did make this mistake once before, and I was rather upset. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, so I have to cut up to here, and got my little rotary blade. And it doesn't have to be exact, but yep, see, I didn't go through both layers. So sometimes you just need to go over it again. No big deal. There we go. And then cut away our second side. Did I get it? Nope. I know, the wonders of using a blade that's a little bit dull because I've been using it so much. It's my own fault. And then, I'm just gonna snip right there. There we go. Okay. So yeah, that and I was talking about how it makes a much cleaner edge. You know what? I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna fix this just a little bit. I am sorry, because I'm not happy. There we go. That's much better. Okay, so then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to measure out from this edge, okay? Now, the initial thing that I saw on Pinterest was 1¼ inch strips, okay? Now, I think I'm going to do 1½ because I'm a bit of a baby. So now I don't have this lined up where it starts because I've got, wait, no, I can't do that. Okay. So basically to do 1½ strips, actually I need to move my base here. Sorry. And I'm going to show you how easy this is to use once I get it lined up. Okay, so you want your bottom line. Now you can see these openings at the bottom. Makes it so much easier than having to measure each individual strip. No thank you. See, each of these is ½ inch. So 1, 2, and 3. So for every third, I am going to do a cut with my rotary blade. All right, so 1, 2, and 3. And you just put it into this sort of slot right here. Very, very easy to do. And then you go up to the 4-inch line. And then you skip 3 more. So it's 1, 2, and 3. So into that third one. And there you go. And you just do this for the entire circumference, the entire area of your blanket. You're going to cut out all 4 squares the same, okay? And then cut out your little strips here. And I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing 1½ inch. You could do 1¼ inch, that's fine. Now, when I was doing the other blankets, I only did 1-inch strips. But because I'm going to be doing a little bit of a slit here, I did 1½ inch. Okay, just keep that in mind. Then, when you have your 1½ inch strips cut, you fold them up like so, and you make a little slit. Not too big. Just a little slit with your scissors, because fleece does have a tendency to stretch. Okay, so you make your little slit, like so, being sure to go through both layers of your fabric. Then take take both layers, and you sort of fold them over and through this little slit that we just created. And you can pull them through like so. Be sure you have both of them. And then pull, not too tightly because you don't want to rip your fabric. And there you go. And there are pros and cons to everything, as I always say. Now, the pros of doing it this way is that you don't have really tremendous knots to fight with, okay? You know, this is much flatter than if you were to knot it. However, it's a lot more work to do all that cutting. So pros and cons, pros and cons, pros and cons. You know, you can do it this way, or you can cut 1-inch strips all the way around, you know, of course, you know, remove your squares, your corner squares, cut your 1-inch strips, and then you can knot them, okay? So as far as knotting them, you can hold them both together and knot it as one, like I did with this piece. You know, you can see that I held both together and knotted it, or you can hold them separately and knot them as if you were like tying your shoes, that kind of a knot. Square knot, I believe it's called. So you do have options. So again, to recap, after you cut out your 4-inch square and you cut your 1.5-inch strips, just a little bit of a slit and poke it on through, and it creates a really lovely, lovely fringed edge. Okay, so listen, I know this was a little bit of a different and weird sort of tutorial, but I really hope that you learned something and that you enjoyed it and that you give it a try as well. So listen, until next time, I hope that all of you have a fabulous day. And I do try to post videos as often as I can, whether it's knitting or crocheting or working with fleece. Also, of course, as you know, I have my other YouTube channel, Fiber Spider Games. It's a lot of fun. Would love to see you there. And stay inspired, stay caffeinated, and above all, stay stitching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.